So good morning to all of you. I waited for 5 minutes. Shall we wait more? Shubham is coming, I suppose. Huh? Shubham and Soumya. Shall we wait for some time? 1 minute. आपकी रिकॉर्डिंग जा रही है. There's no issue with that. कोई प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं है. How many of you saw the paper? Clear? Okay. So we'll discuss that first of all. Clear? We need to discuss because that is the only parameter to judge. I am neither the peer nor all of you are murids. Clear? So there is no blind following. Clear? We need to check each other. So come. We'll wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Huh? सुन एक सेट और इनको दे दो, इनको भी दे दो, सौम्या के लिए. अमृत ये ले लो सौम्या के लिए एक सेट का. एक सेट और दे दो शुभम के लिए. So first of all, only you saw the paper. Go through the paper, at least paper 1, first of all. We'll wait in the sense. Go through paper 1 first of all. All the questions that has been asked. Leave map pointing right now. Go through ancient paper first of all. Go through paper 1. All questions on ancient India. We have completed ancient just some time back. Go through all the questions of ancient. Leave these maps first of all. We'll go through these maps later on. Look the question paper asked last year, yesterday only. The question paper that has been given to you. Ancient medieval combined. Section A is ancient India, section B is medieval. After map entries. Go through questions first of all. Go through all the questions. Leave map pointing right now. Go through all the questions of ancient India. Question number 2, 3 and 4. 3 subsections are there. Is there even a single question that you cannot answer? The question is this. Is there even a single question that you cannot answer? And in that you have choice. You can attempt only 1 or 2 at max, because 3 questions you have to attend from medieval also. Clear? Is there any question in 2, 3, 4 or even sub question that you cannot attempt at this time? Any question. Clear? We'll come to all these questions, and medieval is much more easier. Believe me, clear? It is only expected, more than expected questions. Clear? Vijayanagar, Shivaji, all these expected questions. Shankaracharya. Just understand, that's why I told you Shankaracharya comes in the second section. Clear? There's a very important. Assess the statement that the philosophy of Shankaracharya revolutionized religious thoughts in India. You can attempt even now. Believe me, clear? Even at this point of time you can write. This is the testimony to understand the level of preparation. Clear? It's not tough. I keep on saying UPSC is very simple. The only thing is that you need to do justice with the syllabus. If you have covered things properly, nothing would be asked beyond the syllabus. It's not unpredictable and all. These are all Foolish things, clear? It's very predictable. If you prepare things in a very proper manner, everything is beyond the within the limit, clear? There is not even a single question that you cannot answer at this point of time. Medieval we have to do. Zainul Abidin is a very prominent topics and all, clear? Okay, so go through the questions first. Any question 2, 3 and 4 of in ancient India, is there any single question that you cannot answer? Look into the question that has been asked yesterday. Look into the paper first. We'll come to these papers separately, clear? First of all, the most important thing that has always been a problem for history optional students. Believe me, I'm telling you, clear? You may be hearing in the market that history is not as scoring as other options like political science, geography or philosophy or any other subject, clear? These are all myths, first of all. First important thing is, anyone has done justice with the subject. First of all, we need to do justice with the subject. The most scoring thing, I keep on saying, in paper 1 is always the first compulsory question, that is map entries. I keep on saying, clear? Map entries, if you do it properly, it's mathematical in nature. Out of 50 can easily score 40 plus marks. Once you score 40 plus marks, you can easily score 160, 175, and believe me, scoring 170, 175 is not a big thing in this paper, clear? We'll go through proceed question wise, clear? And you should aim for scoring 175 in paper 1 this time, clear? And believe me, I had a talk with my old students who wrote mains yesterday. They were really happy, clear, because they wrote very well both the papers, clear? Even world history we'll discuss. Questions were on completely expected lines, clear? Now coming to the very first question, that is map entries, clear? Now just understand, clear? Book was given to you. We had done map entries completely. Looking into the first site, this site has been given to you. Just look into 2 loose sheets that has been given to you. 20 out of 20 sites are from books, and you can mark 20 out of 20 even now. Not, I'm talking 17, 18, 20 out of 20. We'll proceed side by side, clear? The first question is, the first map pointing is Brick Temple, clear? And believe me, this site I had asked in the test yesterday only, and it's the first site that has been asked. Dashavatar Temple, Devgarh. Clear? And this is page number also I have given in the map entries book, page number 118, site number is 11. Temple sites, first site major is Dashavatar Temple at Devgarh. Clear? Can you locate this thing? 2 loose sheets must have been given to you. 2 loose sheets must have been given to you. वो नहीं है सोम. देखो 2 loose sheets. हाँ वो शीट हो गई. एक लूज शीट ये वाली देखो, मिली है नहीं मिली लोगों को, वहाँ से देखो. Got it? Is it fine? First map entry. The first map entry is a temple site. The temple site is Dashavatar Temple. Yesterday in the test only, there was the first site that I asked, clear? And it is the first site that was UPSC. So when you were writing the test here, people were writing there only, the same site, clear? Dashavatar Temple at Devgarh. Second is early Harappan site, very prominent one, Kalibangan. Locate the site, Kalibangan in Rajasthan, clear? Locate that site. Is it clear? In the book, if you look, it's page number 30, site number is 9, clear? Then we have ancient seaport and trade center. I think it's the cakewalk. Which is the site? Muziris. How easy can be, or anything can be easy, clear? Second is Stone Age site. It's Begor. We have got 2 Begor. One Begor is a Mesolithic site that is the largest in Rajasthan. This is another Begor. We have made it clear. This Begor site is on page number 6, site number 11. Stone Age site, clear? They have made it very clear. Second is Neolithic site. What easy can be less than? Borzahom. Is there any doubt with that? This is again mentioned, page number 18, site number 5. Archaeological site, clear? And if you look into the site, it's very clear. It's Ropar in Punjab. It can be Indus Valley site also, it can be archaeological site also, clear? Ropar in Punjab. This is again mentioned in page number 34, site number 23. Then ancient capital city, Kaushambi. Locate the site, it's easily. Kaushambi was the capital of What's Mahajanpad? We had done Mahajanpads, clear? This mentioned on page number 70, site number 8. Again, ancient capital, again very easy site. Which is that ancient capital? Ujjain, the capital of Avanti. It can easily be located. 30 words you can easily write. More than 30 words you can write. Clear? Mixing of or the meeting of Uttar Path and Dakshin Path. Then we have got Harappan side. What easy can be there? They have asked, I think the easiest map entry they have asked. Lothal, seaport, dockyard. In fact, in the test also we have asked about Lothal. Clear? On the test also we have covered everything. Clear? Then we have got ancient inscription site. Oh my God. Which is the site? Junagadh. You can write 30 words easily. Rudradaman, Sanskrit inscription, first Sanskrit inscription in India, repair of the dam at Sudarshan Lake. Next is a rock cut cave site. Nasik, Satvans, clear Bagh caves, then we have got Karle caves, then we have Chaityas and Viharas. Nasik, proper site. You can easily write about Nasik and the trade center also. Then we have got ancient capital city. We had discussed 2 days back. Banavasi, the capital of Kadambas, Mayura Sarman, Vajanti also, clear. Then we have got famous temple site. They have hinted also, famous temple site. They could have written simply temple site, that could have created some confusion. But anyone who will look into the site, Tanjavur, Brihadeshwar temple, Rajraj first, clear. Then we have got center of school of art. Amravati. Any doubt, anything? I think it is the most easiest, and you will see a score will shoot up this time. Clear? A score will easily shoot up because those who have written means they are very happy. Clear? Then second is ancient inscriptional site. Hathi Gumpha of Kharwel. Easily you can write 30 words. Clear? Yeah. Ancient education center. Nalanda. Clear? What else you can expect from UPSC? Clear? What else you can expect? Then we have got pre-Harappan site, the most prominent one. Mehergarh. Easily you can write 30 words anytime. Clear? Then we have got Chalcolithic period site, Davasa, the most important site in fact in Chalcolithic site. Clear? Early inscriptional site. Now this is very important. Clear? Yeah, there are only 2 sites I have given in the book on famine relief of Ashok, Sogora and Mahasthan. Sogora we have had in the test also. Another is Mahasthan in Bangladesh. Clear? Next is ancient petrograph sites, pre-Hostic rock painting site. Clear? It's Sangankallu. It's located near Brahmagiri. That is in the region of Bellary district of Karnataka. Sangankallu is also there, page number 22, site number 18, and the Paleolithic sites. Because some rock cut carvings has also been done on the rock surfaces at Sangankallu. Petrol means any prehistoric art paintings or art carvings that has been done on stone. Clear? So art paintings or carvings were done on the stone in the southern part of India because large pieces of stones were there. It started from megalithic culture and it was found in Paleolithic phase also. Sangankallu, Gudiyam caves, Atirampakkam, all these are prominent sites where temple or where inscriptions or paint or images has been drawn on the rock surface also. It's not only at Bimbetka. Clear? It's Sangankallu. Sangankallu, Brahmagiri, Hallur, Gudiyam caves, Atirampakkam, all are located nearby in southern part of India. Any site that is beyond reach. See, thankfully, we did cite along with the classes, and that is why I kept on saying, do map entries and do class test thoroughly. These things would be done. Nothing can be much more easier than these map pointing questions which was asked yesterday. Out of 50, any time you can score 45. And once you score 45, believe me, your score can never be 160 in adverse situation also. And it can easily score 325, 350 in history. Easily, I am telling you. Clear? These were about map pointing. Clear? Which has already been done. So you should feel confident. Clear? That the track is right and you will get questions in the next year also. Coming to questions on also in India, please. Yeah, obviously. See, last time also from this book we had 17 sites. I was expecting 17, 18 also to be very practical. I never expected 20 out of 20. Clear? But when I saw the paper, I was also amazed. Hathi Gumpha, Tanjavur, then we are asking Junagadh inscription, then Burzahom, the most prominent one they have picked up. If students do not perform even at this point of time, you cannot blame UPSC. Clear? They were giving you full opportunity to perform there. Clear? Perform it nicely, and people have done. I know there is one of my students, Bhargav from Andhra Pradesh. He did map pointing in 15 minutes. Last time he missed the final list just by 5 marks, and just because of map entries. Clear? This time he did map pointries in 15 minutes only. Now you can imagine if you save time there, how effective you can write answers in remaining time. Clear? And he has performed very well. Clear? See, the logic is that if you do it properly, obviously, where will you miss out? This map pointing can any time be done in 20 minutes, not more than that. Any time you can write it, any time you can mark it. Clear? You just have to identify and write the words. Things are done with you. Clear? This is one thing. Another important thing, come to questions on ancient India. Clear? Coming to the questions in ancient India. The first question, question number second. Okay. Question number second. The first one. Ancient India. Do you agree that archaeological evidence often helps in the better understanding than literary sources? Comment. Is there any doubt in that? Sources, you will get questions. There's a clear comparative analysis we had done about the sources. Clear? So archaeological evidences often helps in better understanding than literary sources, because we have seen literary sources are subject to vulnerability and alteration, and archaeological sources are not subject to such changes and alterations. Yeah. Clear? It can be handled anytime, 15 marks, 150 words you can write easily at any point of time. Second, B1. The development of art and architecture during the Shunga period belies the belief that they were anti-Buddhist. Clear? Art and architecture under Shunga period. We had discussed that Buddhist sources like Deepvamsh and Mahavamsh claims that Shunga period or Shunga like Pushyamitra Shung persecuted the Buddhist monks and destroyed the structures like stupas. But architecturally, we have another picture altogether whereby we have seen that Shunga period reconstructed the stupas which had been destroyed by this time, and therefore it belies this concept that Shungas were anti-Buddhist in nature. You have mentioned the sources also, Deepvamsh, Mahavamsh, and even Mahabhashya of Patanjali, and also Harshcharita of Banbhat. We have mentioned all the sources of Shunga period. Did the mastery over agriculture act as a leverage for the rise of Harappan towns and cities? We started with this concept only. All diversity comes with surplus agriculture produced, and this surplus agriculture will lead to diversity of arts and crafts, whereby large number of population can be sustained without working on agriculture, and all these acted as leverage for the people of Harappans to go for urbanization. Clear? Granaries are the biggest examples for that, found in Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Clear? Import and export also, cotton as well, but the basic thing was agriculture. I had been emphasizing the fundamental things cannot be missed out. See, in UPSC there's a clear-cut trend. They always focus on fundamentals. In this question, did the mastery of agriculture as a leverage of Harappan towns and cities? First of all, mention about the area where Harappan cities flourished, region. That is the region of Indus Valley, which was drained by river Indus and its tributaries that provided the fertile agricultural tract, and agriculture began to be practiced since the Neolithic age, and we had discussed Neolithic age is also pre-Harappan phase. Mehrgarh was the epicenter, and when agriculture production started to emerge or started to evolve, large scale agriculture production began to take place because of fertility of the soil, and just because of this, sections of population got diverted to non-agriculture activities like urbanization, trade, art and craft, and that acted as a leverage for the establishment and sustenance of large number of urban centers. In fact, this only became the factor for the decline of Indus Valley, because we had discussed by decline of Indus Valley basically means end of urban manifestation, because people could not be sustained, they reverted back to agriculture. Leverage was from agriculture, starting in the fertile plains of the Indus zone. 3 questions. Come to question number 3A. The flourishing international trade during the Kushan period gave tremendous impetus to the development of art. Gold coming from Central Asia enabled Kushans to promote major arts like the Mathura School of Art, even the Gandhar School of Art. What else can you expect in this question? Clear? You get questions from these areas. Examine how the transformation of the Varna system from the Rig Vedic to the later Vedic period affected the position of women. Clear? See, anytime you just need to understand the logic of the subject, you will easily write the answer, and you don't have to write facts and figures also. Just clear-cut understanding, the answer will get formulated. Clear? There were no literary sources for the Harappan culture and no archaeological evidence for the Vedic period. This was a good question. Clear? Explain the phenomena. Pictography script has not been deciphered yet, so there is no literary evidence about Harappans, it is only based on archaeology. With regard to Vedic period, we don't have any archaeology, but we have only literary evidences. We have given statement also, archaeology doesn't know about Aryans. Aryans are known only through literary sources. The Rig Veda, Samved, Yajurved, Atharvaved. Clear? Then, explain how Ashok used religion as a tool of political aggrandizement. Dhamma Vijay. Clear? That is, even after political conquest of Kaling, when he abandoned the policy of political annexation, he adopted the policy of cultural conquest, which is known as Dhamma Vijay. Began to send diplomatic missions to contemporary rulers in Western and the Mediterranean world. Clear? Do you agree that the system of land grants from the Gupta's Vakataka period was connected with the decentralization state in any way? This is very important. It's not decentralization anyway. There was some element of decentralization, but the most important thing was delegation of authority. That is why they are in any way. That is why this question is conceptual. If you don't understand the concept of delegation, decentralization, answer may not be answered. So in any way, yes, in some way it was decentralization of authority, because we were bhaktis, veshayas, and then we had grams. But at the same time, it was not decentralization major way. It was basically delegation of authority, because Gupta rulers adopted the title of Maharaja Dharaj from Bhattaraka. Clear? Next is, the discovery of monsoons by Hippalas gave a new direction to Indo-Roman trade during the Satavahan period. Hippalas discovered monsoons 17 AD, that first of all promoted trade with Cholas, Cheras and Pandyas, and later on Satavahans in early centuries of Christian era from two prominent trade or port cities, the port cities being Broch and Supara. Satavahans, because we had made it clear that trade you have to ride with, overland trade with Kushans, maritime trade with Satavahans, and maritime trade with Cholas, Cheras and Pandyas with the Roman world. Clear? You have to mention sources also, Peripulus of the Earthen Sea, that mentions about large number of ports like Muzores and large number of items imported and exported between India and the Roman world. Ancient India done. Clear? And you have to write only 2 questions at max. Clear? You know 3 out of 3. You can choose also which one to write at the best possible level. Clear? Map entries. Clear? First section is done. Coming to medieval India, which is much more straightforward than ancient also. Clear? And one question we have started medieval India right now. There's one question that's been asked. You can easily answer even now. Shankaracharya. It says the estimate that philosophy of Shankaracharya revolutionized religious thoughts in India. Advaitwad. Clear? A new philosophy altogether, marked by Gyan Marg. And with the most important thing is why revolutionized? Because he connected the soul with the Brahm, the creator. Clear? It was acted as a revolutionary thinking. That is why we consider him to be the most important thinker of Indian philosophy. Other status also, when we'll cover in course of time, believe me, discuss how Vijayanagara Empire became the cultural capital of South India. We'll discuss Krishna Deva Raya and the major role. Assess the rule of Zainul Abidin in Kashmir. Very prominent. Today only we'll discuss about Zainul Abidin and the one source, that is Rashtrangini. It mentions about Zainul Abidin also. The economic measures of Alauddin Khalji were aimed at greater political control. You get one question from Alauddin Khalji off and on. Clear? Examine the European impact on Mughal paintings. Culture of Mughals you will get easily, and these are very straightforward questions. Any time you can answer. It's much more easier than ancient India also. In course of time, when we discuss about medieval India, you'll come to know all these dimensions. Is there any doubt with regard to ancient India? Medieval India we still have to do. Yeah.
So the philosopher of Shankaracharya, we can also mention about the mud.
4 months that were established, because that revolutionized religious thoughts, because it promoted the concept of intellectual learning in Hinduism. Clear? Medieval India, when we start, we have to start with medieval India properly. You will get those questions also. Clear? But ancient India we had done. The most important thing, map entries. You can easily do it without any hiccups. Clear? You just need to revise things. Clear? More importantly, I'll let you know, clear, that in second paper also, the questions were quite easy. World history we had done. I'll discuss that world history wala part also, because world history is covered. Modern India anyway, there is no question beyond the limit of any candidate. It only depends how you write modern India. Clear? So world history also. Let us discuss that question also. World history we had that done. Clear? Okay, now section A, paper 2, clear? Just leave the modern India part, still we have to do modern India. Start with Tipu Sultan only, clear? The most expected thing of modern India, clear? Now come to section B, world history, clear? The arguments of the free traders were a curious mixture of economic hard-headedness, social benevolence, cosmopolitan idealism, and class prejudice. We discussed about free traders, Chartist movement, clear? It's sometimes bad. They try to recall things, clear? Free traders we had done, clear? There are many ways in which the war of 1914 to 18 was unprecedented and inhuman history, entirely novel. Totalitarian war, clear? We discussed about distinctive features. 10 million people died, clear? And it had huge social impact also. We had discussed about wartime socialism also. All these were distinctive features of the First World War. Second is the ineffectiveness of the League of Nations to prevent or to check Japanese aggression against China was the first serious blow to its prestige as an agency for providing security. That is why we had made it clear also the first country to walk away from the League of Nations was Japan. 1931 when Japan attacked and conquered Manchuria. Clear? And Japan again declared war against China in 1937, and we had also discussed that this year marked the real beginning of the Second World War. In 1937 because it marked the complete collapse of collective security. League of Nations, the failure. It was not a binding organization. Non-alignment came to symbolize the struggle of India and other newly independent nations to retain and strengthen the independence from colonialism and imperialism. Clear? How would you explain the nature of pre-Marxian socialism? That is socialism before Karl Marx, Louis Blanc. Other persons also we had discussed about, clear? Louis Blanc, then Louis Blanc, and other thinkers like Saint-Simon, Fourier. We had discussed about all those thinkers, and all of them advocated certain sense of pressure on the capitalist class to go for resource distribution, which was not binding on them. This binding concept was first applied by Karl Marx, pre-Marxist socialist thought. Clear? Next is, how did the policies of governments facilitate the process of industrialization in Europe? It is industrialization law. You first start with England, then with France, then with Germany, and finally with Russia. We discussed industrialization in all these countries. You have to discuss how governments were promoted. Clear? Least promotion was done by government in England only, because it was marked by free trade and laissez-faire. But it was largely promoted in France, Germany. Germany, in fact, Bismarck only. Clear? By policy of blood and iron. And Russia. Clear? Because it has untapped resources, they began to promote industrialization. Clear? Next is, how was Italy transformed from a geographical expression to a nation state? We have used the term, in fact, geographical expression in our notes, and in that to a nation state. Italian unification, clear. Next is, how far did Napoleonic preferential stance to help out the French economy result in embroiling France in continental conflicts? Austria, Russia, Prussia. It wanted basically to have total control, and that resulted into conflict with all these countries in Napoleonic era. Question number 7. Which factors would you attribute to the British colonial intervention in Malaya in the 19th century? How did Malaya react to British colonial rule? The cultural system and all. That is all Malaysia along with Indonesian regions as well. Clear? Explain why Latin America was beset with chronic political instability and endemic military conflicts throughout most of the 19th century. We had written the factors constraining the development of Latin America and Africa. And some of the reasons are rise of dictators, lack of resources, and at the same time interference of Europe, which was countered by America through a doctrine known as America for America. The doctrine was known as, which is that doctrine known as? Monroe Doctrine, 1823. We had written all the factors constrained. These are topic mentioned by this tree. Next is, do you agree with the view that formation of NATO marked the revolution in American attitude to the world problems? Because it was North Atlantic Treaty Organization largely promoted by United States only after Second World War in 1948, Brussels Treaty. Clear? It came into being in 1949, and America began to play a decisive role, because from here only British supremacy in global politics came to an end. Clear? Cold War politics. Yeah, you have to give examples also. NATO, clear? NATO work, NATO's intervention also, West Asia also, especially the Greek crisis in Egypt. You have to mention that also, clear? Next is, do you subscribe to the view that Greek War of Independence, 1931, was remade in contrast of the best episodes? How did it affect the concert of Europe? 1831, first just understand, we had discussed the concert of Europe that came into being after the downfall of Napoleon in 1815. Concert of Europe came into being during Vienna Conference, clear? And in this concert of Europe, first of all, they began to support Greek against The Ottomans. Clear? Eastern question we had discussed. And since they began to work against the Ottomans, Greeks were encouraged to revolt against the Ottomans because this large Ottoman Empire included even the Greek as well. And just because of support given by this, the Greeks started to revolt against the Ottomans, became independent in 1831. That is why question is, do you subscribe to the view that Greek War of Independence was marked in contrast of the best and the worst episodes? Best or worst, why? Best because it marked the independence of one country against medieval system of the Ottomans, and the worst episode because it resulted into cascading effect in the breakup of a large empire, that was the Eastern Empire or the Ottomans, that finally declined after the First World War. Clear? Russia began to interfere into that issue, and that resulted to conflict with Britain and France, even resulting into Crimean War in the middle of the 19th century. Clear? Was Czechoslovakia served as a dish to Hitler at Munich conference? We discussed. Clear? What were its implications? Obviously, it was the height of appeasement. Clear? Because Czechoslovakia was handed over to Hitler. We had written statement also. Hitler began to make mockery of these countries, that these are mere insects, they cannot harm. And even Jawaharlal Nehru was present, who declared it was the height of appeasement. So it was acted as a dish to Hitler at Munich. Clear? He ate up in clearly, and his confidence got boldened up, and he decided to go for further aggrandizement. The next being demand of Poland. Clear? An attack on Poland resulted into Third World War. The implication would be it bolstered or boosted the confidence of Hitler. He further went on to demand the Poland. When it was denied, it attacked Poland, and that resulted into the Second World War. Clear? Analyze the role of Egypt after the Second World War in bringing about Arab unity. Abdul Nasser, clear, hero of Arab nationalism. We had discussed also. Clear? You write about all his measures. That is, first of all, he wanted to construct Aswan Dam on River Nile, which was denied by World Bank. Therefore, he began to demand assistance from Soviet Union. Soviet Union gave assistance. He began to tilt towards Soviet Union. It was not acceptable to Britain and France. And moreover, he went forward to announce the nationalization of Suez Canal. Clear? That resulted into huge conflict, and at the same time, he began to act against Israel. Clear? And since all Arab countries were against Israel, it boosted the concept of unity among Arab countries. Arab unity. It therefore is regarded as hero of Arab nationalism. This all things, all these things are there in the notes, and questions are very expected lines. Clear? See, the basic thing is to master ancient India and to master medieval India. World history, anyway, you get questions straightforward. Modern India, it's not about content. Everyone knows content. Modern India is all about writing. How you write answers, how condensed you write answers. Clear? Because it's all depend on translating the knowledge into effective answers. Even now, most of the things in modern India, you must be knowing. But knowing in modern India is not sufficient. The most important thing is ability to translate that knowledge into proper presentable answers. Clear? But best part is map pointing, ancient India. Medieval India is much more easier than ancient India also, because questions are very straightforward. Clear? Last time they asked about culture of Mughals, they asked about architecture and literature. In literature, they asked about growth and development of Hindi in Mughal court. This time they have asked growth and development of Sanskrit literature in Mughal court. Clear? These are very expected questions, mention the syllabus. Clear? You need to understand. Is there any doubt? Modern history. You want to discuss? Yeah, question number 4. Tell. Quit India movement. Clear? Why is the Quit India movement characterized as spontaneous revolution? Did it accelerate the process of Indian independence? I'll let you know. Clear? See, these are very expected questions. I'll let you know. Clear? Questions are not important in modern India. Modern India is how you approach the answer. Why is it the Quit India movement characterized as spontaneous revolution? I'll let you know in modern history. Quit India movement is termed sometimes as revolt or revolution. We call it as probably August Kranti also. It started on 9th of August 1942. Why it is revolution? There's a reason behind that. There's a historiography. Because this movement was to be started peacefully by Mahatma Gandhi, and he called a special meeting of All India Congress Committee at Bombay immediately. Why? Because Japan began to knock at the door of India from northeastern side. When this meeting was convened at Bombay, on 8th of August 1942, Mahatma Gandhi gave the call for third mass movement known as Quit India movement, with slogan of do or die. Do or die doesn't mean violence. That is why you need to understand. Do or die doesn't mean violence. Mahatma Gandhi made clear, Indians will either liberate their motherland peacefully or they will sacrifice their lives. Clear? And when this movement was to be started on the next day, 9th of August, In the early hours of 9th August 1942, British in single sweep arrested all Congress leaders, including Mahatma Gandhi. Clear? And when all Congress leaders were arrested, masses were left leaderless, masses were left directionless. So masses began to act impulsively. Clear? What they did was they began to attack all symbols of British authority, like railway lines, telegraph lines, post offices, and that is why it is sometimes it acted as a spontaneous revolution. Clear? Moreover, the masses began to establish parallel governments. 3 parallel governments were established, one at Balia, then at Satara, and then at Tamluk in Bengal. That again indicates spontaneous. Moreover, since all leaders had been arrested, this movement was started by a young girl in Bombay. That young girl was named as Aruna Ganguly. She hoisted the flag of India on all important government buildings. That lady later on came to be known as Aruna Asif Ali. Clear? After being married to Asif Ali. Clear? She played an important role. Women in this movement played important because Usha Mehta organized All India Radio secretly and to convey the message. This again indicates revolutionary temperament. Moreover, in this revolution, why is spontaneous? I'll let you know. There are other dimensions which are missed out. The other dimension is socialist leaders emerged at this time and they wanted to attack British establishment. Clear? The 2 most prominent socialist leaders at this time Quit India movement was Ram Manohar Lohia and Jai Prakash Narayan. Clear? And they encouraged students to react against British. That is why the heroic role in Quit India revolt was played by students, and that too of Eastern Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Clear? And when these students began to attack, British adopted the policy of arresting these persons. Ram Manohar Lohia, Jai Prakash Narayan escaped from India. They went to adjoining region of Nepal, and in Nepal they established surprise attacking force on the British, which is known as Azad Dasta. Dasta is basically attacking force to liberate India. That is why it was termed as Azad Dasta. This is one important thing. Why it is revolutionary? There is another angle attached to that. Clear? During Quit India revolt, that is in the year 1942, very important and unfortunate development took place in India. That development was, by this time when Quit India movement was going on, World War was also going on, Second World War, and we had discussed that in Second World War, by the end of 1941, Hitler declared war against Soviet Union. Even though Hitler had signed non-aggression pact with Stalin in 1939, he did not respect the treaty. He attacked Soviet Union in 1941. Understand the logic here. Modern India is based on interpretation. Clear? When Hitler attacked the Soviet Union, who was a fascist power, Hitler was a fascist power. This created an ideological dilemma for communist leaders in India. What was the dilemma? Communist leaders realized whether to support Hitler at this time or to support British at this time, Soviet Union. Now, ideologically, they were affiliated to Soviet Union, but at the same time, they wanted to support national movement by opposing Hitler at this time, because Britain was also fighting against Hitler. In order to, rather than being nationalist in nature, the communist leaders decided to support their ideology. They decided to show sympathy to Soviet Union. Now, since Soviet Union has been attacked by Hitler, obviously, to show opposition to Hitler, communist leaders began to support British in India. They proved to be pro-British in nature. Say some books write anti-British. Anti-British is or anti-national is a harsh term. We don't use normally in history. But they acted in a pro-British manner which cannot be denied. Clear? Even now when debates goes on between Kanhaiya Kumar and Sambit Patra, you must be hearing that they have never been nationalist to India. They have always sided with the British. That is a claim given by ABPP students also. Clear? Because at the time it cannot be denied, communist leaders decided to support British just to oppose Hitler at that time, and they provided all secret information to the British about these revolts. With the support of communists only, British were able to suppress the Quit India revolution with a brutal hand. Clear? It came to an end within a matter of few months only. Clear? All leaders were behind the bars, masses were brutally suppressed at this time. Clear? This was because of communists cannot be denied. Clear? Therefore, brutal suppression of the British itself taken as a revolutionary attitude in Quit India movement. All these facets and dimensions are to be highlighted. Then you can say that whether it was a spontaneous revolution. Clear? It was spontaneous because masses were left leaderless, because all the political leaders had been arrested and masses were left directionless. They started to act in a spontaneous fashion. And did it accelerate the process of Indian independence? Believe me, perspectives matter. It did not accelerate. Clear? It did not accelerate. Rather, acceleration of Indian national movement was because of one another reason. That reason had already taken place before Quit India movement. That was before Quit India movement only in the year 1940, a great national leader of India, Subhash Chandra Bose escaped from India. He even went to meet Hitler at the time and wanted to liberate India. He acted as a factor to accelerate the India's independence, because after wandering from countries to countries, he landed up at Singapore in 1943, where a large number of Indian prisoners of war were under Japanese occupation, and that was named as Indian National Army. Clear? He reorganized Indian National Army and termed it to be Azad Hind Fauj. And with Azad Hind Fauj, he gave the battle cry of Jai Hind and Dilli Chalo, and they started to proceed towards India to liberate India, because for Subhash Chandra Bose, means were not important, end was important. That is the difference between Mahatma Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose. For Mahatma Gandhi, means were important. He never wanted to compromise with means of truth and non-violence, clear? Because in order to achieve independence. But for Subhash Chandra Bose, means were not important. It can be fair or fall. Ultimate objective was important, that is to achieve independence. And he started to proceed with fastest post to liberate India. That was a major factor to accelerate India's independence, cannot be denied, clear? But it was not Quit India movement, clear? Quit India movement never accelerated. It ended in a very surprise manner without any retaliation. And national leaders were behind the bars. They were not released even after this. They were released only after Second World War in 1945. Clear? In 1945, all these leaders were released, and thereafter again another phase of mass movement began to take place. And the catalyst that acted at that time was British decided to put on trial 3 INA members only. Indian National Army members at Red Fort. 3 members were chosen deliberately by British from 3 religious communities. The 3 members were Gurdial Singh Dhillon, Shahnawaz Khan, and Prem Sehgal. Gurdial Singh Dhillon from Sikh community, Major Shahnawaz Khan from Islamic community, and Prem Sehgal from Hindu community. The trial was started at Red Fort, and Indian also constituted the team of lawyers, and this team of lawyers was headed by a Gujarati lawyer, Bhulabai Desai. Clear? And it acted as a catalyst. Masses again began to gather at Delhi, and the final showdown began to take place. That accelerated. So INA played a very important role, cannot be denied. Mr. Shahnawaz Khan is a very reputed person, not only in India but Asian continent. He was originally from Afghanistan, clear? He was a freedom fighter who was a member of the right hand of Subhash Chandra Bose in the region of Southeast Asia. And Shahnawaz Khan is related to a present Bollywood actor also. Shahnawaz Khan is the maternal grandfather of Shah Rukh Khan. Clear? Shahnawaz Khan had an adopted daughter from northwestern part of India. That lady was named as Latif Fatima. Clear? Adopted daughter of Shahnawaz Khan. And Shah Rukh Khan is the son of Latif Fatima and Taj Muhammad, who was also a national fighter, freedom fighter. Clear? That is why even when any film festival is organized in Southeast Asia, like Bangkok Film Festival, most of the time Shah Rukh Khan is invited. Because Southeast Asia, he has strong legacy. Clear? He is closely associated with, or that the maternal grandson of Major Shahnawaz Khan, who was put on trial in Red Fort at Delhi. So all these things are important, because Quit India movement we will discuss. Yeah, it acted as a spontaneous revolution, but it did not accelerate Indian national movement. Clear? British were not ready to grant independence till they were, or till Second World War was ended, and they were pressurized by none other than American President Franklin Roosevelt and an international organization, that is United Nations. Clear? We'll come to all those things in modern history. Clear? Modern history is not important from content. Anyway, we'll discuss that. The most important thing, again, I'll let you know, it's to write answers. That is much more important. Clear? Is this okay? Clear? So, ancient India is done from examination perspective also. Clear? Just keep on revising. Map pointing has been done. Just revise those map pointings, not now. It has been done once. Clear? After you start for your mains examination after writing prelims. One go has to be done again, so that no silly mistakes are committed there in examination room. Clear? Questions can easily be written. We are about to start medieval India. These questions will also be done. Zainul Abidin, Mansabdari and Jagirdari system has been asked. It's an expected question. Clear? Then Shivaji has been asked. Marathas anyway has to be done. All these are expected questions. Alauddin Khalji, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Firoz Shah Tughlaq. These are all very prominent monarchs on which and their policies questions are often asked. Last time we had questions on Muhammad bin Tughlaq and his projects. 5 experiments of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. They're expected questions. Medieval India is very straightforward. Clear? Expected questions are asked. This time Alauddin Khalji. Next time they'll ask about Firoz Shah Tughlaq. 3 monarchs are very important. That is Firoz Shah Tughlaq, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and Alauddin Khalji. There are one monarch from whom questions are asked not frequently, but that is Balban. It's basically a theory of kingship. divine origin of kingship. That will come to Balban also. Is it clear? You should have this track clear. Ease can easily be handled. You just have to be focused. Just be prepared that you have to write answers. Things will automatically, nothing would be missed out. That is one thing for sure. Clear? You just make up your mind that you have to produce that thing in form of effective answers. That is the only thing that to be done. Is it clear? Clear? So coming forward, clear? So coming back to the topics that we were covering, we were still in early medieval India. Some topics are left in early medieval India. Last time we had covered till early Sufism. Clear? We had covered till early Sufism. So we'll come to Sufism again. Clear? This was only early Sufism and early medieval India. Now we'll move on to another very important development that took place in early medieval phase, and that is related to a very prominent historiographer who wrote a very prominent work which marks the beginning of real historiography in India, and that work is Rajtarangini, written by a Kashmiri Sanskrit writer, Kalhan. That is mentioned especially in our syllabus, Kalhan's Rashtarangini. Clear? From here only Indian historiography scientifically starts, because he mentions about the events in right chronological order. Clear? So we'll discuss about Kalhan's Rashtarangini. Is it fine? Clear? Now just understand. See, Kashmir was a very prominent spiritual center right in early medieval phase also. It produced a series of spiritual thinkers and philosophers, in fact important Sufi order also known as Rishi order, established by Nuruddin Wali in later course of time. In this region of Kashmir only, a very prominent writer emerged in the 12th century named as Kalhan. He was a great Sanskrit scholar who began to write about the history of Kashmir right from its Stone Age. Clear? So he is the person who mentions about certain prehistoric sites also in Kashmir like Burzahom and Gufkara. So he began to mention about the history of Kashmir right from the Stone Age till his death. He actually died in the year 1150, that is by the end of the 12th century. In this work, he has mentioned about large number of dynasties and kings, and therefore this work is termed as the River of Kings, which is termed in Sanskrit as Rajtarangini. Clear? The most important feature of this work is he has mentioned everything in right chronological order. Clear? So for the first time we have one source in which chronology is not missing, chronology is in right direction, and therefore it is considered to be the first work of scientific historiography. But there are some limitations of this work as well. If assessment comes, we'll have to write about these limitations as well. The most important limitation being, he has especially mentioned about the greatest warrior and ruler of ancient India, that is Ashok. And he has mentioned that Ashok conquered Kashmir and he declared him to be the ruler of Srinagar. But this information is doubtful. The reason is, as we all know from Ashokan inscription, Ashok in his entire political career conquered only one province, and that province was Kaling, which is mentioned in rock edict numbering 13 points. Clear? Since Ashok himself never mentions about the conquest of Kashmir, this literary evidence seems to be doubtful, but just because he has mentioned to show that even Kashmir was under a progressive rule of Ashok in the 3rd century BC, this may not be acceptable. In his work only, Kalhan also mentioned that Kashmir was being ruled by Kushan ruler Kanishk as well. This information accepted because we all know Kanishk ruled over Kashmir along with Central Asia, where he convened the 4th Buddhist Council, which led to the bifurcation of Buddhist monks into Hinayan and the Mahayana. Clear? All these informations are mentioned along with important dynasties like the Karkota dynasty and the Utpal dynasty in right chronological order till the death of this person in 1150. But the sequence of Rashtarangini was continued, and thereafter 2nd, 3rd and 4th Rashtaranginis were also written, which is known as Dutiya, Tritiya and Chaturth Rashtarangini, till Kashmir was finally conquered and annexed into Mughal Empire by Akbar in 1586. We'll discuss about all Rashtaranginis starting with Kalhan's one. Clear? Right? Kalhan's Rashtarangini. Right? Heading as Kalhan's Rashtarangini. This marks the beginning of historiography. Kalhan's Rashtarangini. Rashtarangini. Clear? Right, introduction. Right, the real beginning of scientific historiography the real beginning of scientific historiography is traced back to a prominent Sanskrit writer of Kashmir. Sanskrit writer of Kashmir, Kalhan. Writer of Kashmir, Kalhan. Writer of Kalhan. In the 12th century AD, early medieval phase, 12th century AD. Clear? Right. Kalhan wrote a monumental Sanskrit work. Wrote a monumental Sanskrit work. Sanskrit work, Raj Tarangini. Sanskrit work, Raj Tarangini, which means the river of kings, is a Sanskrit word, which means the river of kings. Clear? Like in this work, he has written about history of Kashmir. He has written about the history of Kashmir from the Stone Age, till the end of the 12th century AD, end of the 12th century AD. Clear? Right. In this work, Kalhan has maintained perfect chronology of events. Perfect chronology of events, which was unprecedented. Which was unprecedented, not seen before. Unprecedented. Clear? Right. Beside this chronology reflects cause and effect relationship. Reflects cause and effect relationship that can be easily acceptable. By historians. Acceptable by historians. Change paragraph. Right. Kalhan mentions about the prehistoric culture of Kashmir. Mentions about the prehistoric culture of Kashmir, marked by prominent sites like Burzahom and Gufkaral. Burzahom and Gufkaral. Burzahom and Gufkaral. Change paragraph. Right. However, the account of Kalhan is critically scrutinized by scholars with respect to the conquest of Kashmir by Ashok. Right. Kalhan Kalhan refers Ashok as the king of Srinagar. Refers Ashok as king of Srinagar, which is hard to digest. Which is hard to digest. Clear? Right. It is well known through Ashokan inscriptions. It is well known through Ashokan inscriptions. Through Ashokan inscriptions that Ashok annexed one and the only province, annexed one and the only province, and the only province of Kaling. Province of Kaling. Clear? Right. Moreover, Ashok placed his major rock edicts, that indirectly delineate the frontier regions of Mauryan Empire. Delineate the frontier regions of Mauryan Empire. Mauryan Empire. Clear? Right. However, major rock edicts are not found in Kashmir. We have discussed that. It's located in northwestern region. Clear? In Kashmir, which indicate that this province was not the frontier region, of Ashok. Frontier region of Ashok. If critical assessment asks, you have to write this thing. Clear? Ashok. Change paragraph. Right. Kalhan has mentioned that Kashmir witnessed high degree of prosperity in the early centuries of Christian era. High degree of prosperity in the early centuries of Christian era under Kushans. Clear? Right. Kanishk integrated Kashmir in his political domain, and even convened the fourth Buddhist council. Council that led to the formal split of Buddhist followers. Right here only. By this time, Kashmir was marked by, it is written by Kalhan, Kashmir was marked by growth of Sanskrit language and literature. Marked by growth of Sanskrit language and literature. Language and literature as Buddhist monk. Ashwaghosh. I hope you remember him. deputy of Vasumitra, Buddhist monk Asvaghosh, wrote the biography of Gautam Buddha, wrote the biography of Gautam Buddha in Sanskrit, titled as the Buddha Charitra, titled as the Buddha Charitra. Clear? Right. Kalhan mentions that Kanishk promoted the Mahayana sect of Buddhism. Kanishk promoted the Mahayana sect of Buddhism, whereby images of Gautam Buddha began to be made and worshipped. Gandhar and Mathura School of Art began to be made and worshipped. Change paragraph. Right. Kalhan has even mentioned about prominent ruling dynasties of Kashmir. In perfect chronology. Like the Karkota and the Utpal dynasties. The Karkota and the Utpal dynasties. Dynasties, clear? Right, such historical sense was continued by Kalhan. Till his death in 1150 AD. 1150 AD. Clear? Right. Kalhan left a rich legacy of historical writing. Which was immediately carried forward by other Sanskrit writers of Kashmir. We'll come to them right here, only next sentence. In the long run, the legacy of Kalhan was carried forward by the Persian and Arabic writers. To write proper historical accounts. Ziauddin Barni, clear? Proper historical accounts. So both short-term and long-term implication, clear? Right, in this way, Kalhan is taken as a pioneer, of scientific historiography in India. Change paragraph. Right. After the death of Kalhan, immediately Another prominent Sanskrit writer. Another prominent Sanskrit writer. Prominent Sanskrit writer. Jonah Raj. Prominent Sanskrit writer. Jonah Raj. Began to write. Began to write. Right within inverted comma. The second Rashtarangini, right, second S capital. The second Rashtarangini or the Dutya Rashtarangini. In Sanskrit will come Tamil as Dutya Rashtarangini. Second Rashtarangini or the Dutya Rashtarangini. It's a huge legacy. Clear? Right. The second Rashtarangini mentions the history of Kashmir. Mentions the history of Kashmir. Kashmir. From 1150 AD, the point where Kalan left. Kashmir from 1150 AD till the death of Jonah Raj. Till the death of Jonah Raj in 1429 AD. So he was in 15th century, but he covered the events from 1150 only, without any break. 1429 AD, 1429. Right. In this Rashtarangini, Jonah Raj followed the sense of historiography. Followed the sense of historiography. Sense of historiography as evolved by Kalan. As evolved by Kalan. Kalan. Change paragraph. Right. Jonah Raj mentions about the most progressive ruler of Kashmir. Mentions about the most progressive ruler of Kashmir in the 15th century. Ruler of Kashmir in the 15th century, named as Zainul Abidin. Asked yesterday in medieval India. Ruler of Kashmir, Zainul Abidin. Right, his period also is a very prominent ruler. 1420 to 1470, half century. Zainul Abidin. He could write only in the initial years of Zainul Abidin because Jonah Raj died in 1429. So 9 years only written. After that, the event of Jonah Raj or Zainul Abidin is mentioned in the third Rashtarangini known as the Tritya Rashtarangini. Clear? Right. According to Jonah Raj, Zainul Abidin began to rule over Kashmir. From 1420 and showed high sense of religious tolerance. Right. First of all, he invited all Hindu followers of Kashmir, who had left under orthodox rulers, before Zainul Abidin. Clear? Right here only. Beside, Zainul Abidin stopped the slaughter of animals. for consumption. Animals for consumption. And began to promote peaceful activities. Began to promote peaceful activities. Right, next, moreover, Zainul Abidin got several Sanskrit works. Got several Sanskrit works like Ramayana and Mahabharata. Like Ramayana and Mahabharata. And even Rashtarangini. And even Rashtarangini. Translated into Persian. Translated into Persian. Clear? Persian. Change pattern, right? However, Jonah Raj could mention only initial reign of 9 years. Initial reign of 9 years of Zainul Abidin. 9 years of Zainul Abidin. Zainul Abidin, as this writer died. In 1429. This writer died in 1429, just after 9 years of Zainul Abidin's rule. Change paragraph, right? The work on Rashtarangini was carried forward by another Sanskrit writer. Shrivara, who wrote, right within inverted comma, the third Rashtarangini, or the Tritiya Rashtarangini, right? Shrivara covered the events of Kashmir. In a first-hand manner. He witnessed all these things on his own. In the first-hand manner. He was the witness of all these things. First-hand manner. From 1429 to 1486 when he died. To 1486 till his death. Clear? Right. Next paragraph. The Tritiya Rashtarangini elaborately mentions about the works and achievements. Of Zainul Abidin. We have exact information about Zainul Abidin. Clear? Right. The ruler of Kashmir. Defeated the Central Asian warriors. And extended his rule up to Tibet. From Kashmir. up to Tibet. Right, Zainul Abidin named this large region. Zainul Abidin named this large region as Tibet-e-Kurd. This large region as Tibet-e-Kurd. Tibet-e-Kurd. Clear? Right. According to Srivara, Zainul Abidin, Zainul Abidin was a prolific builder of medieval times. Was a prolific builder of medieval times. And he constructed a large dam on the river Wular, W-U-L-A-R, Wular River. Clear? Wular. Right. At the same time, Wular River is a very prominent one. At the same time, we'll come to that. At the same time, he constructed an artificial lake near Wular River. He constructed an artificial lake near Wular River, which was named as the Zaina Lake, named after him, was named as the Zaina Lake. Clear? Right, near this lake, Zainul Abidin, Zainul Abidin constructed a huge palace, and a grand mosque. Huge palace and a grand mosque. Right, on account of his progressive character, Zainul Abidin is referred to as right with inverted comma, Akbar of Kashmir. We'll come to Zainul Abidin separately when we'll come Kashmir, regional kingdoms. Akbar of Kashmir. Historiography, we have well-defined historiography of Zainul Abidin. Clear? Change paragraph. Right. After the death of Srivara, the fourth Rashtarangini or the Chaturth Rashtarangini was written by another expert, Suka. Okay. Right. He covered the history of Kashmir. For 1 century. Kashmir for 1 century. From 1486, the place where Srivara left, from 1486 till 1586. Clear? Right. He has mentioned about the successors of Zainul Abidin. Who weak rulers, who were weak rulers and exhibited religious orthodoxy. Clear? Right. The independent province of Kashmir was finally annexed and integrated, into Mughal Empire by Akbar in 1586. Right, with this, the trend of 1586, with this, the trend of writing Rajtarangani came to an end. As Sanskrit scholars of Kashmir, there was another question came from here only. Sanskrit scholars of Kashmir were invited and patronized by Akbar in the Mughal court, highly liberal in nature. Akbar in the Mughal court. We'll come to Sanskrit literature in Mughal court. Clear? Akbar in the Mughal court. 4 versions of 4 Rashtaranganis, first, second, third and fourth. The first one is written by Kalhan, second by Jonaraj, third by Shrivara, fourth by Suka, till Kashmir was finally conquered and annexed into Mughal Empire by Akbar in 1586. Very important work of early medieval times that started the concept of scientific historiography in this country. Clear? This was about Kalhan. Clear? Meanwhile, just understand. Apart from this cultural trend related to literary writings and historical writings, another very prominent trend of early medieval India was growth and development of temples in India. We discussed about 3 dominant styles of temple construction in India, that is the Nagar style, the Vesar and the Dravid style. But at the same time, there were some regional variations in the style of temple architecture, largely witnessed in the eastern part of India corresponding with modern Odisha and the western part of India corresponding with Gujarat and Maharashtra. Therefore, we'll also discuss about regional styles of temple architecture during the early medieval phase till it took a formal shape under the Sultans of Delhi and the Mughals. Clear? Right, next heading as the regional styles of temple architecture. The regional styles of temple architecture in the early medieval phase. Temple architecture. The regional styles of temple architecture in the early medieval phase. Early medieval phase. Right, introduction first. Right, the early medieval phase is culturally significant. The early medieval phase is culturally significant due to large number of temple construction, temple construction in different parts of India. Clear? That the 3 dominant styles of temple architecture, were the Nagar, the Vesar and the Dravid styles. The Nagar, the Vesar and the Dravid styles based on regional differentiation. Nagar in north, Dravid in south. based on regional differentiation. Clear? Right. However, certain regions emerge to be highly prominent. Certain regions emerge to be highly prominent for temple construction, that exhibited variations in the style of temple architecture, Right, the most prominent region in this respect, was Kaling or modern Odisha. Under the rule of the Ganga rulers. Early medieval India was marked by Ganga rulers in Odisha. Under the rule of the Ganga rulers, also known as the Eastern Gangas. Why they are known as Eastern Gangas? Just to differentiate with the Western Gangas on the western coast of India. Clear? They also contributed towards art and architecture. Also known as the Eastern Gangas. Right? These rulers began to construct temples for large number of followers, that led to variation in architecture. It was because of large followings, variation in architecture. Now, what is this variation? These features are asked. Clear? Just understand first of all. Clear? First of all, we had discussed that there is one central place which is common to temples all across the world. Clear? This central place, which is marked by the place where main idol is placed. This place is known technically as Garbhagriha. In English, we call it at Sanctum Sanctorum. It also discussed that surrounding this place there is always a higher platform. This higher platform is always termed as mandap. Clear? This is a common thing that has been discussed altogether in the Nagar style also, Vesar style also, and Dravid style. Then what do you mean by regional variation? What change was introduced here? Since large number of followers came to worship the respective god at this point of time, apart from creating the place for god or Garbhagriha and the mandap, the architecture of Eastern India realized they need to create, or they need to enhance the size of this mandap further, so that large number of people can sit around in order to worship the relative god along with the main priest. Since followers were large in numbers, they needed to enhance the size of the mandap further, so that if the size of the mandap is enhanced, large number of people can sit and worship the god along with the main priest. And when the size of the mandap was significantly enhanced, and above this only curvilinear tower was constructed to be termed as Shifa, it gave much more magnificent orientation to the temple. This enlarged or enhanced size of the mandap became a distinctive feature of the Ganga rulers in Eastern India, and this large mandap technically is termed in Odisha even now as Jagmohan. Jagmohan is the most distinctive feature of temple architecture in eastern part of India, whereby large mandap has been created for the lay worshippers to sit along with the main priest. Not only this, even though when large mandap had been created and mandap was surmounted by curving tower, all this mandap could not include all the worshippers. Some worshippers were still left, and it was not practically possible to further enhance the Jagmohan, because that could have made it much more difficult to construct the curvilinear tower. Therefore, in order to include more and more, or accommodate more and more worshippers in the temple premises, what they did was that beyond this Jagmohan, they began to construct adjoining large assembly hall. Clear? And when large assembly hall began to be constructed, this assembly hall was marked by distinctive architectural design. What was this design? That in this large assembly hall, the mid area was left, and around this mid area, large number of pillars were constructed in order to mark this division. And beyond these pillars, large number of rooms were constructed whereby the Brahmins could stay at this time. And this middle place, which was covered by large number of pillars, it was meant for the lay worshippers to stand or sit to worship the god. This place, which was left in between large number of pillars, it came to be known as aisle. Clear? Aisle was a place, A-I-S-L-E. Aisle is a place which is always located in between the two seating arrangements or the pillars. I hope you understand aisle. When you board a flight also, or a train also, there's a seat known as aisle seat. Aisle seat always the seat that is the seat where the common people can move across. That is just opposite to the window seat. It's always known as the aisle seat. The three seats, window seat, middle seat and the aisle seat. Clear? So aisle was a place whereby common worshippers could stay and sit and to worship the god. This aisle also became a distinctive feature of the Odishan style of temple architecture, also known as the Kaling style of temple architecture. With these regional variations, large number of followers could be accommodated in large temples marked by Jagmohan and aisle. The first major temple to be constructed by Ganga rulers in Odisha was named as Parmeshwara temple, followed by Mukteshwara temple, and finally the most prominent one known as Lingaraj temple. All these three temples known as Mukteshwara temple, Parmeshwara temple and Lingaraj temple are located in the city near Bhubaneswar. This was very important development that began to take place, and in course of time, based on this large mandap, a large shikhar was constructed in the most magnificent temple constructed in Odisha, and the temple known as Jagannath temple at Puri, which was destroyed several times, reconstructed, and finally took the form of a magnificent temple in eastern part of India. What is so unique about Jagannath temple at Puri? Any distinct thing about this temple?
So the idols.
Yeah, what is so important?
Are not made of stone or
Jagannath temple is for the worship of Lord Krishna as an avatar of Lord Vishnu, that you must be knowing.
wooden, like that they
Huh.
are made of wooden.
Huh?
Idols are made of wood and
Huh.
they are replaced after every 12 or 19 years.
Yeah.
So in
Idols are made in wood and they are embellished after 19 years. Yeah. Anything else? Huh. It's not given a complete shape. Embellishment is done therefore on a regular basis. Yeah, that's true. Any other unique thing about Jagannath temple?
the flag
Flag, yeah.
that is on the
Top, yeah. There's an iron rod and then there's a flag. Every temple has that. Iron rod and a flag. What is unique about that?
So it moves in a different direction to the wind.
Moves in different direction. It's a divine thing, there's no doubt about it. What is so unique? The unique thing about Jagannath temple is that defies all scientific logic. Jagannath temple does not have its own shadow. Even if the sun is on the eastern side, it does not show any shadow on the western side. And still people doesn't know what is the reason. Clear? Jagannath temple does not have its own shadow. Clear? There's one very unique thing about this thing. Clear? Another unique thing about Jagannath temple is, since its construction from the very beginning, there's a royal kitchen. Clear? In this royal kitchen, prasad is made every day. Prasad is made with a limited amount every day. Clear? But off and on in the years, number of devotees visiting this temple has multiplied, not increased also. Clear? They have multiplied. Clear? It is said by the temple management that amount of prasad is made on a uniform rate. It has not been enhanced. But it has not been a single day when there has been scarcity of prasad, even though with multiplication of devotees. No one knows the reason. Clear? It's a divine location altogether. That's why when you go to Odisha, we people wish each other by saying Jai Jagannath, because basically it considered to be highly auspicious in nature. Clear? And this temple was destroyed several times. In fact, it was destroyed by Firoz Shah Tughlaq also. Later reconstructed again, but the final version that is available to us is considered to be the most magnificent style. Embellishment continues on the wooden idols regularly, and this temple is considered to be the perfect example of the Nagar style of temple architecture, including not only a simple mandap but a large Jagmohan. Jagannath temple at Puri. Clear? Write about these variations. Clear? Right. Under the patronage of the Ganga rulers, under the patronage of the Ganga rulers of Kaling, Ganga rulers of Kaling, the central mandap was significantly enlarged, around the main idol, to accommodate large number of devotees, Clear? Right, such enlarged mandap under Kaling style of architecture, such large mandap under the Kaling style of architecture is termed as Jagmohan. Very distinctive feature of Kaling style, termed as Jagmohan. Clear? Change paragraph. Right. In order to accommodate devotees beyond Jagmohan, the experts began to construct an adjoining assembly hall, for lay worshippers, LAY, common worshippers, for lay worshippers. That this assembly hall is marked by huge pillars on the two sides, accompanied with inner rooms, inner rooms for Brahmins, rooms for Brahmins. Like the space between two sets of parallel pillars, pillars was meant for devotees, to be technically known as aisle. This space, you can call it this aisle. This place is an aisle. Clear? The space left between, clear, is known as the aisle. Clear? Change paragraph. Clear? Right. With such regional variations, regional variations. The Ganga rulers constructed. The Ganga rulers constructed prominent temples like Parmeshwara temple, temples like Parmeshwara temple, Mukteshwara temple, and the Lingaraj temple, all near Bhubaneswar, and Lingaraj temple near Bhubaneswar. Clear? Bhubaneswar. Change paragraph. Right. Finally, the rulers of Kaling. The rulers of Kaling constructed the most magnificent temple. With large Jagmohan and an attached assembly hall. At Puri, known as the Jagannath temple. Clear? Right, this temple was destroyed and reconstructed several times. Several times. With further innovation. And it is considered to be the perfect example of the Nagar style of architecture. Clear? Change paragraph. Right. Ganga rulers even mastered the architectural technique. The architectural technique of constructing temples. On large platform. Marked by delicately designed wheels. Clear? Right. The most prominent example of this category is the Sun Temple at Konark. We have given this in map entries. Sun Temple at Konark. Clear? Change paragraph. Right. On account of lavish construction of temples in Kaling, modern Odisha, it is rightly termed by experts as Dev Bhumi, land of God, termed by experts as Dev Bhumi. Features are clear? Dev Bhumi. Change paragraph. Clear? Right. Another major region to exhibit. Another major region to exhibit. To exhibit variation in the style of temple architecture. Variation in the style of temple architecture was Deccan and Western India. Was Deccan and Western India. Deccan and Western India. Clear? Right. In Western India, corresponding with modern Gujarat, in Western India, corresponding with Gujarat, the Pratiharas and the Chalukyas. Pratiharas in North Gujarat, Chalukyas in South Gujarat. The Pratiharas and Chalukyas evolved their own technique, of architecture, which is known by different names, as Gurjarai style, Pratihara style, or the Chalukyan style. Clear? Right. As per this style, temples were constructed without shikhar, due to vulnerability to seismic activities. I hope you understand. Vulnerability to seismic activities and due to rough topography. Small hills are found. Rough topography. Clear? Right. Therefore, temples are marked by flat roofed structure, roofed structure, in order to ensure its sustainability. Clear? Right. At the same time, these temples indicate high degree of prosperity, as white marbles are used lavishly. Clear? Right. Such style was effectively carried forward. by two prominent persons, Vimla and Tejpal, 11th and 12th centuries. Two prominent persons, Vimla and Tejpal, who constructed several Jain temples, at Mount Abu in Rajasthan, as well as temples at Satrunja Hills, in Palitana, Gujarat. Satrunja Hills at Palitana, right? On account of the flat roofed structure, these temples are locally termed as, we had discussed this earlier, this temple, on account of flat roofed structure, these temples are locally termed as Gharbandi style. No Shikharbandi style, it cannot be constructed there, termed as Gharbandi style. There's one Jain temple of Shikharbandi style that is in Delhi, clear? Termed as Gharbandi style. It's almost in the form of a house, Gharbandi style, Ghar, clear? Gharbandi style. Even if you go to Jaipur and all, even the most important temple right now these days, Birla Temple. Jaipur is known for Birla Temple. It's totally white in nature. It's totally in the form of house. Only at the top they have constructed a small shikhar, clear? That is basically for visibility and for appearance. But Birla Temple is totally in the form of Gharbandi style, which is constructed on a large elevated area. It cannot construct with a large shikhar. Shikhar will not be sustainable. And even if with minor seismic activity, the whole structure may collapse. To make it longevity, it is very important to ensure durability through Gharbandi style, clear? Change paragraph, clear? In the region of Gujarat, the rulers even constructed a sun temple at Modhera, marked by the regional style, of Western India, Clear? Regional variation. Change paragraph now. Coming to the most important thing. Clear? In the region of Deccan. Temple construction, you get a separate question from here. Temple construction was sponsored by the Rashtrakuta rulers in the early medieval phase. Very prominent early medieval phase. Clear? Right? Even though, it's very important, even though new style of construction was not introduced. It's very important. New style of construction was not introduced, but the existing style of the Deccan region, was taken to its culminating point. Rashtrakutas are known for that, art and architecture. Taken to its culminating point. Now, what was this point? In Deccan, just understand, we had discussed temple construction was originally started by? In Deccan, temple construction was originally started by? Did Satyavahans constructed in temple? Temple construction in Deccan was started by? Gupta period. Gupta's rule over Deccan? Have mercy on me at least. Don't do these things, please. Clear? In Deccan, temple construction was started by? Yeah? The Pallavas and the Chalukyas, clear? Pallavas and Chalukyas ruling from 6th century AD, they began to construct temples. The most important being, they began to construct rock cut temples. The most prominent being Kailashnath temple at Kanchipuram, and along with that 7 red temple and shore temple at Mahabalipuram or Mamalapuram, all located on the eastern coast. And Chalukyas began to construct rock cut temples at Ahyol, Pattadagal, and these temples were constructed by Pulakeshin II. They started the concept of constructing rock cut temples at this time. Clear? Rock cut temples was taken to its further development by Hoysalas when they constructed moving sculpture kind of temples in their capital city at Halibut. Halibut located in Hassan district of Karnataka. But at the same time, these rock cut temples and structures began to be constructed. They are best exhibited under the Rashtrakutas when one of its ruler named as Krishna I constructed a rock cut temple known as Kailashnath temple that indicate the culmination of the rock cut architecture in India, because this Kailashnath temple devoted to the worship of Lord Shiv is of great height, and in this height large number of rock pieces were carved and placed in perfect symmetry till it went up to 11th story. Therefore, it is said to be the perfect structure of rock cut structure in India. Not only this, adjoining the Kailashnath temple in the region of Deccan, Krishna I constructed large rock cut caves for the worship and for the stay of Brahmanical monks, and these places are known as Chaityas and Viharas, marked by a very prominent style of architecture whereby in the form of horseshoe shape, large number of rock cut structures has been carved out, and therefore it has been made for places of abode and places of worship for Brahmins at this time. Krishna I and Rashtrakuta even concentrated toward art also, because in this field they completed the concept of paintings at Ajanta and Ellora, and all these paintings were completed in multicolor by Rashtrakutas. Therefore, Rashtrakutas are considered to be great contributors to the field of both art and architecture along with painting, because multicolor paints were applied in the caves of Ajanta and Ellora. Right about this Kailashnath temple, clear? Right, a Rashtrakuta ruler, Krishna first, a Rashtrakuta ruler, Krishna first, constructed a magnificent rock cut temple, known as the Kailashnath temple, Write the features. Right, this temple is marked by a huge Viman. I hope understand Viman, story upon story, marked by huge Viman, carved out from a single piece of stone, Clear? Right, this Viman is accompanied with delicate stone sculpture placed in perfect symmetry, SYMMETRY, perfect symmetry, clear? Symmetry, right? On account of such a character, it is accepted that rock cut architecture reaches its final stage reached its final stage under the Rashtrakutas. Under the Rashtrakutas. Rashtrakutas. Change paragraph. Right, adjoining the Kailashnath temple. Adjoining the Kailashnath temple. Kailashnath temple. Nath temple. Rock-cut caves were constructed as chaityas and viharas. Chaityas means temples, viharas means resting places. Chaityas and viharas. Clear? Right. These caves are in form of horseshoe. These caves are in form of horseshoe. Again carved from large pieces of stones. Again carved out of it, right? Again carved out of large pieces of stones. Large pieces of stones. Pieces of stones. Clear? Change paragraph. Right, the Rashtrakutas even took art and painting to its final stage, in the early medieval phase. Medieval phase. Clear? Right. Under the patronage of Rashtrakutas. Images of gods and goddesses. Were carved out from stone. Perfectly and placed within temple premises. You get questions on art and architecture and the Rashtrakutas. Right. They are given credit of taking the art of painting, the art of mural paintings. Mural paintings are clear? The art of mural paintings to its culminating point. Right, they completed the paintings in the caves of Ajanta and Ellora. Paintings of Ajanta and Ellora in the region of Deccan. Right. In fact, the 16th cave at Ellora is close to the Kailashnath temple. Clear? Right. Therefore, it can be concluded that the Rashtrakutas contributed towards the finalization of art, finalization of art, comma, mural paintings, and the rock cut architecture, in India. Architecture in India. Clear? They completed Ajanta and Mohenjo-daro paintings got completed finally under the Rashtrakutas. Change paragraph. That in the field of art and sculpture, significant contribution was given by the Ganga rulers of Mysore, Western Gangas, or the Western Gangas, Clear? Right, a minister of Ganga dynasty, Chamundraya, constructed a large monolithic stone statue, of Gomateshwar or Bahubali, even supported by Cholas, statue of Gomateshwar or Bahubali at Shravanbelgol, Hassan district again, at Shravanbelgol in Karnataka. Clear? Right. This structure remains to be the largest rock statue in India. For the worship of Jain monks, or for the worship of Jain followers. Mahamastak Abhishek, worship of Jain followers. Early medieval India again, indirectly patronized even by the Cholas. See, Rashtrakutas Raj normally students miss out. Do write all this culminating point on the Rashtrakutas, rock cut architecture, sculpture and painting. All reached its final stage under the patronage of the Rashtrakutas in the early medieval phase. Yeah, please.
What about Elephanta caves?
Elephanta caves were constructed at this time, but not took a final shape. It took a final shape only in the Rashtrakutas, obviously, but these Elephanta caves were further improvised under the Marathas also. Clear? But Elephanta caves were constructed, rocket caves. Clear? Here only at this point of time, Elephanta caves were basically in the form of elephants. Large pieces of rocks were given elephant shape, and within that there were large places constructed. Elephanta caves located in the suburbs of Mumbai. It was constructed by Rashtrakutas, but reached its final stage under the Marathas, early stages of Marathas. Elephanta caves are religious sites because it is also counted also as chaityas and sometimes as viharas. So they are caves also for the residence of the monks, related to the Jain Buddhist religion, because Rashtrakutas patronized Buddhism also, Jainism also, and sometimes it was even for Brahmanical monks also. But right now Elephanta caves are mere structures of Indian heritage. It started by at this time because they constructed a large number of rocket structures. Chaityas and Viharas the most prominent being, that too in the horseshoe shape. Clear? They started construction in Elephanta caves, but these caves are given final shape later on, not at this time. Culminating point was reached in form of rock cut architecture, the representative being Kalashna temple, representative point of painting, that was in the paintings of Ajanta, mural paintings, and even a sculpture, because large number of rock cut sculptures were constructed, placed in symmetry in the Kalashna temple.
So I've read somewhere that the temples or taboo, the Dilwara temples, have been built by Bhama Shah.
See, sometimes it is said Bhama Shah, but historians do accept that there were two popular ministers, Vimla and Tejpal. Vimla and Tejpal only gave resources for the construction of the marble marked structures in the structure because they were prominent persons, they were prosperous people. Clear? Bhama Shah may have contributed, but we don't have exact information. Exact information that we have about the construction of Dilwara temples, the credit is given to Vimla and Tejpal, two ministers under the Ganga, under the rulers of Rajasthan. Vimla and Tejpal, 11th and 12th centuries. It's clear. Okay, so historicity goes with Vimla and Tejpal. Anything to be asked? See, just understand. With this only, we come to an end with late ancient and early medieval India. Is this okay? All topics are done. Yeah, please.
So who developed this Martand temple in Kashmir?
Martand temple in Kashmir under medieval India. It was basically the rulers who came after Zainul Abidin. Clear? After the decline, disintegration, I'll let you know. There were persons who came to rule over Kashmir marked by Sufi and Bhakti inclination. One great Bhakti or devotee of Lord Shiv, there was a devotee in Kashmir known as Lal Ded. And devotees of Lal Ded in Kashmir, they constructed Martand temple in Kashmir. Martand temple is again roof-based structure because it is again vulnerable to seismic activities. So devotees of or followers of Lal Ded was follower of Lord Shiv. Clear? Devotees of Lal Ded began to construct Martand temple. That is related with Bhakti movement in Sultanate phase. And at the same time, Sufi order developed in Kashmir known as Rishi order. Both were very prominent in Kashmir.
So the temples at Sun Temple in Konark, the Khajuraho temples, share a similarity. And so this similarity was often being questioned also.
Similarity was
Often been questioned like of they contain some eroticness.
See, again I'll let you know, clear?
What was the purpose?
See, Sun Temple at Konark, yeah, it has certain elements of eroticism, but not as it is found at Khajuraho. Khajuraho is filled with elements of or degree of eroticism, cannot be denied. In fact, it is also said that temples at Khajuraho began to be constructed by Chandelas of Bundelkhand, and at that point of time, we all know that under the rule of the Rajputs, objectification of women took place. We had talked about Parda system, we had talked about Sati, we had talked about Jawhar, and therefore at this point of time, the objectification of women resulted into science of eroticism to be further developed, and this science of eroticism is reflected in the images at Khajuraho. This cannot be denied altogether, clear? But similarity is there, cannot be denied, clear?
Why were they made this? Just to showcase that.
Just to showcase the objectification of women, clear? Because it can also not be said that they were influenced by the book like Kama Sutra, clear? Because Kama Sutra was written much earlier in the 3rd century AD. Rajputs came into existence in, and if the people could have influenced by Kama Sutra, they could have constructed substructures earlier also, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th century, even Guptas also. But all this took place only in the Chandelas of Bundelkhand, because Chandelas are given credit of constructing all the sculptural art in Khajuraho temples, and most of these temples are basically marked by high degree of eroticism. Again, it is basically accepted because women began to get objectified under the Rajput rulers.
Why in temples like inside there is Kandare Mahadev temple and outside is all these things there? So why objectivity in temples?
See, again, this is one reason, objectification. There is another reason that is given, and that reason needs to be understood. That reason is basically that by this time, clear, we are talking about 11th and 12th century. By this time, there was one concept that emerged both in Hinduism and even Buddhism before its decline, and that was basically the concept of magical rituals and rites, clear? And in these magical rituals and rites, women began to be worshipped. In Buddhism, those women were termed as taras, and in Hinduism, it began to worship for power, because all the women divinities which are worshipped in Hinduism, they are basically worshipped as source of energy or Shakti, clear? And therefore, in order to derive Shakti, the Rajput rulers began to worship ladies, and in order to worship ladies, they began to show them with huge amount of energy, vigor, enthusiasm, and that resulted into science of eroticism, clear? Because Vajrayana sect or magical rituals, this was a very dominant theme in the early medieval phase. That is why, just because of that also, sometimes it's said it was a phase of dark age, because scientific logic was not applied, clear? Even though we have scientific works like Adbhut Sagar also, clear? But at the same time cannot be denied, objectification of women, magical rituals in which Shakti was always adhered, or always, custodian of Shakti was always considered to be females. Since Shakti, that is why Mother Goddess is always referred to as Shakti, clear? Source of Shakti. And since Taras were also worshipped as source of Shakti, clear? As a source of Shakti, it also resulted into further objectification of women. And just because of this, as a source of Shakti, in order to derive that Shakti, association with women became a very prominent thing. In order to show that association of women, even physical association, images of goddesses or even ladies began to mate with high sense of eroticism at Khajuraho temples. Cannot be. So there were several factors, but most important thing is historians do accept about, because magical rituals cannot be accepted in history, historians do accept about the objectification of women. Rajputs are known for that, clear? Because that is why huge human casualty began to take, or women casualty began to take place under Rajput ruled provinces. But magical rituals can also not be denied. But that is not accepted by historians. They accept about the concept of women objectification. Is it fine? Clear? So, with this we come to an end with late ancient and early medieval India. We discuss all the topics, clear? Now we'll move on to proper medieval history, clear? And in order to understand medieval history, first of all, we'll just understand briefly about the history as well as to some extent even geography, clear? Because history cannot be understood without a brief understanding of geography. We'll move on to Central Asia, clear? What happened in Central Asia around 9th and 10th century, and just because of those developments in Central Asia, how Indian history got influenced, because all those rulers who began to rule over India in medieval times, most of them originated in Central Asia as Turkish warriors, clear? So first of all, we'll understand about the region of Central Asia, clear? Now before we start with that, you need to understand Central Asia thoroughly. Set of maps has been given to all of you, clear? Look into those maps, clear? See, first map that is given to is about the Rajputs. Have this map with you, clear? Where were Parmas ruling, Chauhans ruling, Tomars, all these areas as well, Cholas also, clear? So first map, this is India 1000 to 1200. Can you locate this map? All Rajput, all minor dynasties are there because it was marked by smaller kingdoms and dynasties in early medieval phase. Come to the next map, that is Chola Empire. I have given this map, also have this with your notes. Look into the large Chola Empire which was established. Above Cholas were Chalukyas of Kalyani. Then Kaling, we had discussed about Chalukyas of Kalyani. Then Kaling also, clear? Then turn the next page. The next page is on Central Asia, clear? See, two maps are there on Central Asia. One is map that covers a large area, and another map, just flap the page, you will have a smaller map with locations, because we need to locate regions like Transoxiana, clear? We have to locate regions like Aral Sea. Aral Sea is close to Caspian Sea, because from Aral Sea, two rivers originate. These rivers are known as Amu Darya and Sea Darya. And we had discussed a region lying between two rivers is always known as fertile region, known as Doab region. And that Doab region between Amu Darya and Sea Darya is the region of Transoxiana, over the river Oxus, known as Transoxiana. It was the only fertile region in Central Asia. Major wars were fought to gain mastery over Transoxiana. And Transoxiana presently corresponds with the country of Turkmenistan, clear? Turkmenistan, clear? Above Turkmenistan, Turkmenistan is adjoining to Iran. Iran at that time was known as Persia, clear? So Persia, above this we have got Transoxiana. The Transoxiana corresponds to the present region of Turkmenistan. Above Turkmenistan we have the region of Kazakhstan, clear? Kazakhstan, then Tajikistan, and towards further south we have Afghanistan, clear? This region of Transoxiana was a very prominent region. We'll come to this region of Transoxiana, which was a region between Amu Darya and Sea Darya. Amu Darya and Sea Darya, look into this map. Amu Darya and Sea Darya originated from Aral Sea, clear? Look into this map, Aral Sea, Transoxiana. And just south of Transoxiana, we have the region of Persia or Iran. So Central Asian warriors, wherever they established control over Transoxiana, they also wanted to establish control over Persia or Iran. And when they failed to establish control of Persia and Iran, the next attention was diverted towards India. We need to understand this phenomena, then only we can understand about the arrival to India from northwestern side. Because just south of this region we have Indus and its tributaries, through which the areas or these invaders entered India. Is it clear about? See, Khwarizm, all these terms we'll discuss. Khwarizmi dynasty was ruling over Iran. Aral Sea is located here. Locate this thing. Aral Sea, we have one river known as Amu Darya. It's written by hand. Clear? Another river originates from here which is not mentioned here is Nosi Darya. It originates here from, just look at Sea Darya. Sea Darya is located near Fargana. Fargana was the homeland of Babur. Clear? Look at Amu Darya and Sea Darya. And between Amu Darya and Sea Darya is a Doab region, and this Doab region is Transoxiana. And Transoxiana corresponds with present Turkmenistan. Turks are not known just because Turks are not known for their origin from Turkey. Forget that. Turks originated with respect to intensity from Turkmenistan. Clear? And Turkmenistan is a modern name. The original name in history is Transoxiana. Why Transoxiana? Because before Amu Darya, after Amu Darya, there is a river that is known as Oxus. So region beyond Oxus is known as Transoxiana. This conflict over Transoxiana we'll discuss. We'll come to Central Asia, which were the warriors who emerged at this time, what developments took place, and how these ultimately diverted their attention towards India. That resulted into composite culture known as Indo-Islamic culture, which is a distinctive feature of medieval history. Is this clear? We'll understand about medieval history of Central Asia in 10th and 11th centuries. We'll start with proper medieval India tomorrow. First of all, the arrival of the Ghaznavites warrior, especially Mahmud of Ghazni, and then after a gap of 150 years, arrival of a Ghurid warrior, Muhammad bin Sam or Muhammad Ghore. We'll discuss that background also. Is it fine? So, we'll start with proper medieval history from tomorrow. Clear? Bring this map with you. We'll have a discussion on this also. Clear? So, we'll continue from here tomorrow. Clear? Thank you. Tests are clear to all of you. We are done with the medieval India. Tomorrow only we'll discuss the previous papers of late ancient early medieval that we had covered, so that you are through with the questions also of last 5 years. And then on Sunday we'll have a comprehensive test on late ancient and medieval India. Is it okay? Clear? So we'll continue from here tomorrow. Tomorrow only I'll discuss about the previous papers of late ancient and early medieval history. Clear? Thank you.